What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next I've got a quick unboxing here, but it's from a seller I'd never bought from before, so I thought after I unboxed these two books I would then walk through the grading of them. So let's see what's in here and how these grades match up. Stay tuned. Alright, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So I hadn't done a grading video in a while, so I thought this would be a good chance because, like I've mentioned in my prior videos, when I get raw books I like to open them right away, but also when I'm buying from a seller I haven't bought from before, I like to evaluate those books to see how they match up with the grades that were provided when I bought them. And my purpose here isn't to like call out sellers or anything like that, so I'm not going to say who I bought them from, but I do want to see how the grading matches up for any future books that I might purchase. So let's just get into this real quick. Like I said, it's just two raw books, and it's in this this envelope here, but it's between couple thick pieces of cardboard, so it feels sturdy enough. And let's see here, just always want to make sure I don't nick the books. All right. Now, these weren't expensive books or anything like that, so that's kind of a tip that I would have if you're buying from somebody that you haven't bought from before. One thing you can do is you can pick up a couple, one or two less expensive books from them and check out their grading and see what you feel about it. And if you find that you trust their grading, whatever it is, then you could buy more. Then you're not taking nearly as much risk when you're buying those books as if it was something that was really expensive and you're unsure about what you're going to get from that seller. So these are books that I've been talking about picking up books like this for quite a while, and it's just continuation of that trend. And so the first one is Star Wars #2, and this is a first appearance of a number of characters, including Obi-Wan Kenobi, who has his own show coming out on Disney Plus. So this is a book that's potentially going to be pretty hot moving forward, or at least that's my guess on it, especially when that show comes out. So I think this is a great book to pick up. Any of the early Star Wars books, issues 1 and 2 especially, as well as when you get into the Boba Fett books like issue 42, 68, and 81. All of those great books to pick up right now leading into those shows. And the second book here is Star Wars #3. And this one, not nearly as key of an issue, but the first 4 are kind of like the main books from at least the early run to go after. Then it jumps up into those later issues where you get first Boba Fett, first Yoda, first Lando, those kinds of things. But issues 1 through 4 are kind of the earlier ones to go after, especially issues 1 and 2. So this one was graded as an 8.5. So we'll take a look at this one and see how that matches up. And then this one was graded as an 8. So we will take a look at this one and see how that matches up. So I'm going to flip the camera around and we will take a closer look at these books. Alright, so here we're going to take a look at Star Wars #2 first. And first thing we'll do is just a quick page count and a check for any issues on the interior. So we've got, now the one thing, and I did notice this, I looked at this real quickly earlier, so I saw this here, and this concerned me a little bit. I thought maybe this was color touch, because you can see how it kind of looks like bleed through, but I took a really close look at this here, and it didn't look to me, it looked like it's probably heavy ink just from the cover. I took a very close look with my camera, with a flashlight, I used a black light, and I didn't see anything that made me think it's color touch. It makes me think it's more likely it's bleed through from the cover. But this is a book from 1977, I believe, so there should be 36 pages, including the covers. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we've got the centerfold. You can see the staples. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then the back cover. Then we look at the back cover, kind of generally along the spine as well, see if there's anything that jumps out as some type of touch-up. But back cover is white, so you're very unlikely to see that. Now you will see on the back there's some pen and also some pencil there. Pencil could be cleaned off. Pen, you're kind of out of luck. So now for this book, because this should be a higher grade book, you know, an 8.5 is what it was estimated as. This is the type of book where you should be able to count flaws. So you basically count the number of flaws you see on the book, each flaw being minus 0.1 from the grade. And so what we'll do is we'll go along the spine here first. So this is kind of a blunt corner here, so we'll say 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not sure what's going on here. I think it's just dirt, so we'll ignore those for now. 6, 7. Then there's some color rub at the staple, so I'll say that's 8. And then we've got some blunting down in the corner, 9. Now we'll go along the top edge. You can see the top edge has a little bit of wear. Some things that could maybe be pressed, some things that can't. You can see this like denting basically. So I'd say that's at least 2 more flaws. So 10, 11, and a little blunting in that corner up there, 12. I'm gonna go along this edge. Don't really see any issues along this edge. Then we'll go to this bottom corner. Maybe a little blunting, 13. And that bottom edge looks pretty good. Now we need to look at the interior of the page. And so you can see there's a color breaking crease right here. So that's definitely a drop in the grade right here. Let's see if there's any other interior issues on this cover. Now I think this is a pretty big one. So you see here, this doesn't look like a printer line or like a roller line or anything. This looks like a crease. Let's see, yeah, and if you look on the back and the inside, you can see that's definitely a crease, and it's a pretty long one. Goes from here to here. So that's about 2.5 inches. And I'd say it probably breaks fiber. I don't know if it breaks color. Let's see what else. So I would say the big issue on this book right now is that crease there. Maybe that can be cleaned up, but this isn't really a book that I would want to go and get pressed. You know, it's not a super high-end book to spend the money to get it pressed. So then we're going to take a look at the back, and a little damage on that upper corner. We've got the pen, which is definitely it doesn't look like it's not a date stamp or a date or anything like that. So I'd say that's going to knock down the grade. And I mean, based on what I've seen, we're already quite a bit below an 8.5. Some of this stuff is dirt. Like, that's dirt, that can be cleaned up. But as you're going along this back, again, you can see where those color breaks are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, so, and then you've got up here, see in the light, see that crease there, maybe that could be pressed out. But I mean, I would say it's a 7.5, maybe a 7. That this crease is a problem. That one's definitely a problem, because I'd say it breaks fiber, which means you can't completely remove it. It can probably get improved, but generally a crease like that is going to knock you down to around a 7 regardless. So I'm not super pleased, I'll say. I'll say it's definitely not an 8.5, and it's not an 8. And it's maybe a 7.5, but probably a 7. So that's the first book. Not super happy with that, I'll be perfectly honest. So then we'll put this one away, and we will take a look at the second book. This is why I do this, because if you don't, then you could have somebody that you think is going to be providing you with correctly graded books, and when you get them, they are not what you expect, or if you don't take the time to look at them, by the time you take that book out and actually take a close look at it, it's too late. And it's something where you can't really do a return or reach out to the seller or anything like that. So now this one was advertised as an 8. So this is Star Wars number 3. And again, we'll look at the interior first. So we've got nothing that jumps out on the inside of the cover. Looks fine. So again, same number of pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Should be at the centerfold, which is attached. See both staples. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the back cover. Okay, that, I think, yeah, so that's probably just distributor ink down there. So nothing to really worry about. Distributor ink, that's one of those things, like you'll see it on the top too. So you never really have to worry about that. That's considered part of the quote production process, so it doesn't lower the grade. But you just want to, like, immediately you think like, oh, that's color touch or something, but it's not. It's just distributor ink. So now let's take a look at this one. And again, I'll start at the spine. And so we definitely have some, damage up here. That's a few. That's not just one. So we'll count that as 3. And then we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Maybe a couple others in there too. It's kind of tough looking through the camera. 15. And then, like the bindery issue down here, 16. Now let's go along the top edge. Top edge, like I said, the distributor ink, not an issue, and that's stuff that can be handled. That corner looks generally pretty sharp. This edge, maybe 1, so 17. Now this one, so this is a definite, color breakdown here. That's about a 1/4 inch. So I would usually take off about 5 for that, so 22. Now let's look at the interior of this cover. Now this one, you can see, it just generally has like a little bit of dimpling and that kind of thing. I don't see anything that jumps out. Nothing that's like, that's really an issue on the interior of this one. Now let's take a look at the back. And, a little, there's some probably fiber breaking creasing there from like a thumb reading. So we'll see. Now let's go along the spine. And it's probably going to be similar to what we saw on the front. You still have that little crunch up in the corner. Let's see here. It's always tough to get the white. So, there we go. So you can see it's about the same number of spine ticks, which it's just the ones from the other side coming through, but sometimes you can see more on the back, but this one seems fine. So would I give this book an 8? I would not. I would probably give it a 7.5. But close, you know. I mean, it was advertised as an 8. Give it a 7.5. The unfortunate thing is that the much more expensive book is this one. You know, this is the book that actually costs money and has, you know, value to it. And with that one, like I said, probably a 7.5. And so unfortunately that one actually I think ends up lower than this book. So it's something I have to think about. I might reach out to the seller. I'll have to decide how I wanna treat it. But this is what I do when I get these books in, especially when I'm getting them from somebody that I haven't bought from before. I like to take a close look at them, see really what I think of the grading compared to what it was advertised as, to make a decision on if I'm comfortable with their grading moving forward. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that I wouldn't buy from that person moving forward, but I would adjust my expectations for their grading. So if they tell me something is an 8.5, I'll go, well, maybe at the best it's a 7.5. Or if they tell me it's a 6, I'll say it's a 5. You know, maybe I'll adjust by 1 to 1.5 grades based on what I've seen. But that's just that's what I like to do, and it's just something where, you know, the things to be wary of, and this is what I noticed, you know, during the selling, was that they seem to be largely grading through the Mylar, where they're like, oh, you know, like they're showing things like this, and through Mylar it's easy to miss that crease right there, which I think is what happened. I think they missed that crease, and so that, you know, drops the grade of this book and makes it, you know, a less valuable book. All right, so that was the unboxing of these two books and the grading of them. So I wasn't super pleased with the provided grades for these two books. Definitely more so the issue with this book than number 3. But you know, that's why I do this. That's why when I'm buying from a seller I haven't bought from before, I do check out their grades. I like to kind of buy like test books to see what I think of the grading. But you know, like I said, I'll think about what I want to do with this, if I'm going to contact the seller or not. But if you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. I've got more videos over here if you'd like to watch some of my other videos, and the subscription button right here if you'd like to subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.